Yes.
We wanted
Right.
less than half.
All right, so
So you
last
post
week,
this on YouTube in case we need to.
I might post it, you never know. Last week I asked what you wanted to learn about. I gave you a couple choices, and it was like hands down about real estate investing. So I threw this together last night. I'll talk about that in a second. So right now, with investing, because I'm a real estate guy, I'm not knocking Josh or nothing, but stocks, bonds, haven't done so great lately, right? How about crypto? I'm not doing so great either. So right now, real estate kind of seems to be the last man standing, in my opinion.
I would agree. Heavily.
Despite interest rates doubling, right? So the question is, are we in a bubble? You don't know. But here's some quick facts about real estate. We still need 3 to 4 times more inventory just to get to a normal market, which we're far from. Okay? Here's another statistic. 40% of all homes have no mortgage. So that's inventory that's probably not coming on the market either. Another statistic. 24% of all mortgages are locked in at 3% or less. That's something that people are not going to give up very easily in this market. There are more homes that aren't coming on the market. So the inventory is a problem. Now, you might think, isn't real estate a crappy investment right now? And I would kind of say, well, compared to what is really what you want to say. Okay? Inflation's running what, 8.5%? A little bit up?
Ish.
Yeah.
So that's a government
That's
statistic
what Kelly's
number.
about.
All right. So there's a lot of arguments that people will say that inflation is more like 15,
Yeah.
right? So when I'm going to talk about inflation today, I'm going to use the 10%. Okay, that's pretty much an easy number, just for round numbers. So I'm going to start off by pissing you off, okay? So if you have $300,000 in the bank, which I know is a lot of money, but just for example purposes, so $300,000 in the bank. At a 10% inflation rate, that means your value of your money is going down. Okay, at the end of the year, what is that money worth? $30,000, right? So your money's worth $270. Purchasing power. That's a lot of money. All right? If you put that money in a cash investment, crappy return as far as real estate is concerned, and you bought a piece of property that gave you 5% return, okay, that's $15,000. All right? So let's do this. Let's write $30,000 here and $15,000 here. That's a spread of $45,000 that you're missing out on by not taking that money in the bank and putting it in a piece of real estate. It's easy math. You're doing it. You have to remember not to focus on the 5% return, but also the return that you're losing from inflation. All right, so this is the way I'm going to look at things, all right? Try not to, I know there's probably counter arguments over there.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, believe me. Hey, I'm all about diversity. Some people are real good at this stuff. Other ones just like it up here.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. So you do your thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so real estate is an ideal investment. So let's take a look at our thing here. So I.D.E.A.L is an acronym. All right, and it stands for income, depreciation, I got to spell it right, depreciation, equity, and appreciation, and leverage, okay? So this is how we're going to remember why real estate is such a great investment. I.D.E.A.L, all right? So let's go through these real quick. Income. It provides a sound income that you can count on. So everybody needs a place to live. That rental income, if you get a good tenant, is going to come in. And it's a sound investment because you can go up to your investment and touch it and feel it, okay? Really what you're buying, you can look at a real estate purchase as package of commodities, okay? We all know commodities is going to go up in value. The price of houses to build is going up in value. It's a package of commodities. It's got brick, it's got copper, it's got wood, roofing materials. All right. So under income, if you have $300,000 in the bank, a modest cash over cash return on your investment might be 8%. That $300,000 is going to give you $2,000 a month in income. That's a lot compared to what you're getting in the bank. Okay, I looked at my savings because I was curious. What is the interest rate I'm getting? It's still 0.01%. Isn't it supposed to go up during an inflationary environment?
Apparently, the 80s savings accounts gave you money, but
I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong.
they're not going to give it back to us, though.
It's crazy. I think I got 28 cents return last year on one of my accounts. All right, depreciation. Depreciation is a little bit of a hard concept to understand sometimes. But really what it is a phantom write-off that real estate is going to give you. Okay? And how it works, it is kind of explained here, is you take the value of property, and the government says take off the value of the land. So, for instance, if you bought a house for $330,000, take about 10% off, so let's lop off $30,000. You're left with $300,000. The government says you can write off and depreciate that property over 27 and a half years. So you're going to take $300,000 and you're going to divide it by 27 and a half. So that's the example here. So that would equal $10,909 a year that you're using as a phantom write-off. So that counteracts other income that you have. So that $10,000 you're not paying taxes on. So it depends on your income bracket, your tax bracket. But if you're in the 24% bracket, 24% of $10,000 you can put back in your pocket. You don't have to pay taxes on it. And that will compound the more properties you have. So if you have 5 properties, now you have $50,000 a year that you don't have to pay taxes on. That's significant. Okay, and there's a little scenario there, it kind of breaks it down, but I won't go into it. All right, so next is equity. You can use your equity of your real estate to make other investments. So what other investment does the bank allow you to borrow against? If you have $200,000 of equity that you're not using, you can go to the bank and say, I want a home equity line of credit. You can use that to make another investment or buy a camper or a new car. Just don't tell Brian that's what you're doing with the money.
Don't buy a new car if you're getting a house.
All right. Now, the other thing why you're getting equity is your tenant is paying your mortgage off. So, we're all familiar with an amortized schedule. So over 30 years, you have this fluctuating principal and interest. The tenant's paying off your principal. Okay, now they're getting value because you're giving them a place to live, but they're paying off your principal. Okay, appreciation. So you can notice here I put 3 different kinds of appreciation on here. Passive appreciation, that would be like the price of your house going up. Historically, the price of a house goes up 3 to 4%, which is great. Now it's going up a lot more than that over the past couple of years, more like 10, 20, 30. Now we don't know if that'll continue, but you're safe putting in here 3 to 4%. Because the government is telling you their target is 2% inflation. So historically, house prices are going to go up. Now, did they dip in 2008 and 2009? Yeah, but if you look at the chart, it goes like this, dip, and then...
3 to 4 per year?
Yeah. Mhm. How about active appreciation? That would be the category of you bought a bargain. So you can get that instant appreciation by getting the deal. And then you have in here forced appreciation. That would be upgrading your property. So you put in a new kitchen. Jordan Trudeau, he bought a property in the Poconos, and I'm sure it looks fantastic now. Last one, leverage. You can use other people's money to buy this investment. How many investments allow you to borrow 60, 70, 80, 90% of the value? All right? So, you, as an investor, well, you're aware the pros and cons of putting more or less money into it. So you have $300,000, like we talked about earlier. You can buy one investment, and it will give you a good cash flow. Or you could take that $300,000 and leverage it at 80% and buy 5 properties. And that will give you a much greater return on your investment. Okay? All right, so that's I.D.E.A.L. That's the acronym that you can remember why real estate is such a good investment. So what I'm going to do real quick is we're going to look at one property. And this property came in my email box last night. It's not a great investment, but we're going to compare it to leaving your money in the bank, okay? And we're going to pretend you have $250,000, which, like, again, is a lot of money, but we're comparing. We're compared to what, okay? So, anybody have a calculator that can, like, spit out some numbers for me?
I do my head.
All right, so you can do it in your head.
I got one on my phone here.
All right, so your money's in the bank, and you're suffering from 10% inflation. What's 10% of 250?
25,000.
All right, so your money went down 25,000 by not investing. Okay, so 25,000, 225K. Okay. Now we're going to go I.D.E.A.L. All right. This property came into my email box. It's not on the market yet. It's a coming soon. It's a condo, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Came on the market for $250,000. Okay. It's an easy peasy rental because it's a condo. You don't have to take care of the outside. You just have to worry about the inside. You have to worry about how old the HVAC is, how old the water heater is there any plumbing issues, is there any outlets that don't work. It's basically the things you need to worry about.
Walls in.
Yeah, it's very easy to maintain. Okay, $250,000. I punched in all the expenses. We're not going to go through how to figure that out. But there's a $183 a month association fee. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to propose that you buy it cash. Now the numbers work better if you don't. All right, just so you know, your return on investment goes up the more leverage you use. But we're going to pretend we don't want to get involved with leverage. We're just have this money in the bank. We're going to buy investment property. Okay. So after PIT, or no, it's not PITI. There's taxes, insurance, homeowners association. All right. This house will rent for $2,200 a month. After your monthly expenses, your net operating income is $1,613. Okay, so per year, that's $19,350. Okay, so right away we're looking at money in the bank taking $25,000 from you, money in this property giving you almost 20 grand. So that's the income part. All right, I.D.E.A.L. The next one is depreciation. We did the calculation earlier. So you're going to take $250,000, take off the land value, and divide by 27.5. So I already have a number here, so I don't need you to do it. But it's $8,182 you get to write off a year. Now, that's 24% of that. So your actual cash in your pocket is going to be $1,963. Actual cash in your pocket because you're not giving it to the government. And this is a phantom write-off. the value of property actually isn't going down, it's going up. So $1,963. Okay, equity. How much do we say is pretty much a safe bet for appreciation?
3 to 5.
3 to 4?
3 or
4%. What can someone do that calculation? 250,000 times 0.04.
62.50.
Ooh, good.
4. You weren't lying.
That's
Wait,
25. Is it?
I have $10,000.
4%.
$10,000.
600.
I have 10.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah, 10,000. All right.
I believed you. You were just so confident.
was very
So I was like, wow.
So your property value went up $10,000 because you invested it in a piece of real estate. Okay. Up. Wait a sec. Did I mix up appreciation and
Equity.
oh the equity part? Right. Oh, okay. So we're gonna move down here. 10,000 appreciation. All right. So equity. We're gonna say this is what.
250, 260.
This is what the principal pay down of your tenant paying your mortgage is. So right away, it's the worst because your principal and interest payment for the first year is way off. But they're at least paying down some of it on the first year. So what do you think that is? $200 a month or something?
Probably, like, yeah. If
So
we're-
$200 times 12 is $2,400.
Yeah, and it goes up probably another $2-3 every month.
Once you get it to about 15 years, it goes about 50-50. So it's about half. So this number gets
You're writing
better
that
every.
interest off that you're paying. You're writing all that.
Yeah, that's also a write-off. Exactly. That's a good point.
It's all right.
So the leverage part is just an advantage of this type of investment. We don't really have a number we're going to put on there. Okay, so we're going to take all this. Anybody can do this calculation for me?
Jim?
All right, tell me when you're ready.
32,000.
Some 35-ish, but maybe I don't. Yeah,
You were right around 34.
33.7.
33.7.
I was around that last day. I lost prices right.
33.7. All right. This is the first year of owning that property.
Not that investment.
That's assuming that you rented it all 12 months too.
Yeah. Okay, the first
That's-
12 months of renting it then.
Yeah, that's the downside is if you have a vacant place, and that's not going to happen right now.
Right now, it's
But
Well,
it can happen.
it can happen. In fact, when I give you a spreadsheet, I have a spot here that has a vacancy factor that factors in, and actually I took account of that.
Yeah.
So there's a vacancy factor of 3%. So what that does is, like you said, once you have tenant turnaround, if you have a vacancy for about a month, it kind of helps factor that in. Okay. So let's do the math the right way. If we were to put this, keep the money in the bank, so we lost 25,000. So we're going to add these two together. All right. So what is that? I'm going to do the math. 58.
58,700.
Yeah, 58,700.
That's how you build wealth with multiple properties.
That's your consequence of not taking that money that's sitting in the bank and putting it in an investment in real estate. The easiest investment that it came in my email box last night. It's not like you worked hard to get this property. That's your consequence of not putting that money into something. And that's what inflation does to your money.
But what about the fear that property values are inflated now, and what's going to happen, you know, if you keep that property? Is it going to continue to go up in value, or, you know?
Well, I would say you're focused on the wrong thing. Number one, okay, so we know that historically the property value is always going to go up, even though it dips. This is going to be a long-term investment, okay? When you're buying this, I'm not saying, look, you're not buying it for appreciation. That's just like icing on the cake. You're going to hold this for a long time. And eventually, when you go to sell it, when you're ready to retire, it's going to be worth double that. All right? And your mortgage is going to be almost paid off. Or you refinance it. But look, think of it like a stock that's giving you a great dividend. Like say you invest in GE, and they're giving you 5%. Now, you really don't care how that stock fluctuates because it's still giving you that 5% every month. So in the same way, even though the value might dip a little bit, let's say it goes down to 225, the rents haven't changed. I can tell you right now, the rents are very resistant to going down ever. Very, very resistant. In the last downturn, I was actually scared. I'm like, should I give my tenants a discount? And I talked to other investors that are more seasoned than me, and they were like, I've never ever lowered my rents.
Rents never come.
And they never did. They never came down.
You should have.
So it's a shame. I mean, it is a really hard environment for a lot of people, but the rents will stay the same. So this will keep producing better every year because the mortgage pay down is going to get more. Your depreciation will always be there. It's divided by what you bought it for. It's always there. So it's a very good
Really, I
investment.
mean, it comes down to the best time to buy real estate was 20 years ago. The next best time to buy is today. That's typically what they say. Now, if you look at the downturn in 2008, everyone that held their property, their homes are worth twice as much now. And right now, we simply aren't going to have that because what caused that downturn was products from Wall Street that basically sell 100% financing, 110% financing to people that were just creating W-2s. They were never qualified for the homes that they bought day one. They weren't qualified. They couldn't make the payments. So then and they ended up skin in the game. So then when the market crashed, they just foreclosed or short sale. Right now, everybody's qualified. Everybody going over right now is putting skin in the game. Everybody has to put money to get their loans. Also, the home equity or the equity in people's homes has never been higher. So if we do fall in hard times, they're just going to sell their home if they're smart, walk away with the money, and keep going, and the real estate market will be fine. So this is nowhere near 08. If we project where this is going, I only see the market stabling off, maybe coming down from homes that were priced higher because they thought they were going to get wildly over because that was a month ago. I think they're just going to stable, maybe come down a little bit in the short run, but they're going to continue up.
So I've never bought a place as a rental property, but like, from your perspective, how does someone who doesn't have the income to support it? Like,
So
obviously,
I'm doing it right now. I'm buying a property. It doesn't matter if I can qualify
You can
income-wise.
just show that you have
Yeah,
a renter.
if you guys,
Like, how do you do that?
so how that works for it? So there's multiple different ways. I mean, I'm getting the equity right now. I just did a HELOC with Mariah. I'm buying an investment property from my friend. So I'm taking the money from the house that I'm in. So I'm using the equity. No money's really coming out of my pocket. I can qualify for that rental property. But if I didn't, I can use 75% of whatever the market rental is for that home and use it as qualifying. So let's say it's $1,000 a month rent that an appraiser says I can get when I do the appraisal. I can count $750 towards the purchase. Now, that is going to help qualify that $750. Now, depending on what you're putting down, that might qualify. There's a lot of products out there where, based off the income on an investment and your income, you can qualify. Or if the property cash flows by $1, I have investors who will do the loan.
And what's required? 20% down on an investment?
Investments, there are some 15% down options, but the rates are really terrible. 20% down, yes. 25, you get kind of more ideal pricing. Me personally, what I'm doing right now is I took the money from my home equity. I'm putting the 25% down because it's a little better rate. In 6 months, I'll be calling Mariah again for a HELOC, take the money back out because home equity lines of credit are like the financial equivalent to the saying for guns. It's better to have one and not need it than need it and not have it. Because once you fall in hard times, you won't be able to get it. But if you fall in hard times, you need it because it's basically a checking account on your house. You just write anything off that for any hard times or any investments to pop up. So all my real estate, I max out the home equity lines of credit for anything that
So you can get it on investment property?
You can get up to $50,000 on an investment property. So right now I did that.
Is that
on my
5015?
Huh?
Is it 50 or 15?
50. You can get 50 on an investment.
There's an investment strategy called I.D.E.A.L, which this person could do. It's buy, rehab, rent, refinance.
Yep.
So it's basically this person that has a $250 in the bank will buy this cash, rehab it, get it rented, and then go to Brian and say, all right, I want to take my money out now. And now you can cater. You can say, look, I'm getting $1,200 a month for this property. I really wanted to put $400 in my pocket every month. So what is that? That's maybe 65% loan to value. You do the math, then you pull it out. Now you're ready to take that money, go and buy another one, and keep doing the BRRRR method. This is a very common thing that people do.
That's exactly what my brother.
Paul, you had a question? Then
Yeah,
again.
I want to add in, and it's all kind of what we're saying here from my own perspective. People object, well, it's not liquid, because even borrowing means there's an obligation that might go sour. The truth of it is, a millionaire is not a person with $1 million. It's $1 million credit rating. If you have this kind of equity, you could always get the money. You're way ahead even more than what you're saying, because you're worth a lot because you have the access. Whether or not it's liquid is almost irrelevant.
Yeah, I just talked to someone on the phone yesterday that said, "Oh no, if you're an investor, we'll look at your whole portfolio, we'll see how much you're worth, and we'll give you a line of credit." I'm like, "Oh, is a line of credit a lien against my properties?" They said, "No, we just give you a line of credit." We could see
Yeah.
it's kind of it is an advantage.
So we do have to wrap up real quick, but what I wanted to say is that, so I've always preached the whole diversity aspect of it, so I don't see any reason why people couldn't do both, right?
No.
I personally have rented out properties in the past, and I'm sure I will in the future. Everything Steve says up here is completely accurate, and I think it's fair. There is always a risk, just like there is in the stock market. Things could go down, they could go up. I would say the only apples to oranges is you're putting more of your time and energy into this, so you're gonna get a better return, you should.
Yeah.
Versus, again, the stock market is much more passive, that's more my jive anyway, but again, all this stuff, I have no problem at all with it. I think it's actually probably being conservative,
Yeah.
but it does take a lot of stress, and it's work. Some people are good at that, some people just don't take that stress as well, but I think if you can do that, that's great
And it
stuff.
depends on your comfort level. Like
Yeah,
honestly, like this isn't stressful to me at all, just because I'm used to it.
right,
But
exactly.
like trying to I went into my Coinbase account last night and they locked me up. That was stressful. I'm like,
Hey, great speech, John, I thought it was really well done.
All right, so we're gonna go around and do commercials. We're gonna start off here with Scott.